Okay, next up is Mr. Don Larson. Mr. Larson here. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You have thorium next to your name. That's kind of one of my favorite isotopes. When Representative Stein and I geek out on isotopes, you know, he's...
An interesting topic, but you don't want to get me started on it here. The committee will have to bounce me out of the room. So, Chairman Vitale, Vice Chair Kick, and Member Denson and the rest of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on House Bill 104. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm an unpaid volunteer at the E-Generation Foundation. The foundation is the nonprofit mentioned in House Bill 104, and if passed, E-Generation will initially act as an agent to market the state-initiated for-profit public benefits corporation created by the legislation. For this marketing, E-Generation will receive compensation. I do not anticipate personally benefiting from the passage of this legislation, though, but want to make sure the committee is cognizant of these facts. I'm here today testifying on behalf of the Molten Salt Reactor Association. We support and work with the firms that are developing the next generation of reactors. There are more than a dozen startup companies that want to design and build these power plants. They want to make a reality of the promises of the beginning of the atomic age, that electricity is too cheap to meter. However, the largest, best funded, and aggressive efforts are underway outside of the United States, specifically the Shanghai Institute of Applied Physics in China. At a conference in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, I got to hear one of their officials speak about the construction of multiple test facilities for a variety of new reactor types. This effort's not been seen in the U.S. since the late 1960s. When the Atomic Energy Commission was broken up in the early 1970s, giving rise to the Department of Energy and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, innovation died in the nuclear power industry in the United States. I ask you to consider the technological changes since 1974 and its impact on quality of life and standard of living. I'd like to cite two industries that are unrecognizable from them: air travel and telecommunications. Advances in material sciences have made aircraft phenomenally more efficient. Planes are lighter with aluminum alloys and carbon fiber composites. Engines have matured to the point where major maintenance is measured in tens of thousands of hours. Fuel consumption per passenger mile flown every year falls, and as a consequence, we have an abundance of inexpensive options. In 1979, the average domestic round-trip flight was $615. Today, it's $344. The telecommunications revolution is even more impressive. When the DOE and NRC were created, dial telephones were the technological standard. Not only was long distance across the country a prohibitive cost, toll calls existed inside of every area code. Calling too far across the city meant accruing charges by the minute. This discouraged communication, research, and innovation in all other fields. Today, everyone has a phone in their pocket that lets you call anywhere in the U.S. for a flat fee. Telephone calls are now too cheap to meter. New business models and employment that the technology never envisioned, from e-commerce, geomapping, logistics, and public safety, have happened due to this innovation. The energy sector in Ohio has seen great innovation in the last decade. Hydraulic fracturing has unlocked vast energy reserves, but equally important is the value of the raw materials for the polymer industry. Manufacturing and jobs are up due to this. Ohio has benefited greatly from these advances. House Bill 104 promises to create the next wave of energy, manufacturing, and employment for the state. There are a variety of new technologies such as molten salt reactors, high-temperature gas reactors, and liquid metal fast breeders. I don't know which one of these will be the technology breakthrough. Perhaps it's not even on this list, but it's in the mind of a graduate student at Ohio State or MIT now. It's foolish to believe that we know exactly what the future holds, but the results throughout the entire industrial age are always increases in standard of living, life expectancy, and quality of life. Think of the 1980s with Microsoft based in Seattle, innovating around IBM. Remember the 1990s with Google based in Silicon Valley, innovating around AT&T in the Yellow Pages. Please consider the 2000s with Amazon, now based in Virginia, taking the Sears catalog to new levels. There will be a company that develops the technology that gives us a terawatt of electricity, abundant medical isotopes, and global manufacturing advantages. It's inevitable that electricity becomes too cheap to meter. I urge you to pass House Bill 104 so that happens here in Ohio and not in communist China. Open for all your questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for your spirited testimony. Does the committee have any questions? I think you got us.
Okay.
All right.
Then
Thank you.
you'll pass the vote now, sir?
Stay tuned. Film at 11.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.